halfway through it and I'm just completely enamored. I had to stop reading for a few minutes because I went dry in the mouth. She's just her words are just stunning. So I went to read one of my favorite pieces by her so far, Portrait of Eve as the Anaconda. I too am gathering the vulgarity of botany, the eye and its nuclei for mischief. Of man redacted I came, am coming, fasting, starving, carved, myself a selfish idol, its shell unsuitable. I, twice discarded, arrived thorn-side, and soon outgrew his reptilian sheen. A fine specimen, let me have it, something in violet, splayed in bird-lime, legs an exposed anemone, against jailbait August, its X-ray sky, this light a gorgon slick, polygamous doom, and God again calling much too late, who aches to stick an ache in my unmentionable. His primal plant remains elusive, wildfire and pathogen, blood knot of human flesh there in his beard. How I am hot for it. Call me murderous, a glowing engine, time to blow. Watch it go with unjealousy, shadow, let me have it. This maidenhead primeval schemes, what ovule of cruel invention, the Venus trap, the menses, and how many ways to announce this guilt, whore's nest of ague, supernova, wild stigmata, womb, I boast, a vogue, sacrosanctum, engorging, shored pornographies, the cell's unruly strain, rogue empire multiplying for 1,000 virile thousand years, my wings pinned wide in parthenogenesis, such miraculous display. Yeah.
I think she was one of the Ruth Lilly people.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
she was. I bought it. Went on their site, the poetry magazine. I was looking for new poets to look at, and it sounded interesting. So I bought it, and I read it, and I gave it to her. And it was
Yeah, that's
really
cool.
good
She's
stuff.
powerful.
Very good stuff.
I shared this one not too long ago. So I'm currently working on an epic, and once it's finished, when set to music, it'll be a rock opera. Just going to recruit like one or two multi-instrumentalists and see what we can do with this. So a few of you know about my epics, and usually they start out in at least somewhat of a decent light, and then it's sort of a downward spiral, but then there's somewhat of a silver lining at the end of it. This one, it starts out depressing as fuck, but I make sure that it has more of an upward prism instead of the downward spiral. Like the main character, you just have to work like hell to get to that happy ending. So, but so far this is the most blissful piece. The main character has just been pulled through his mirror, which is an entirely different world, and he's just waking up from this awful flashback that he had, and the place that he's in, the other side of the mirror, it's called the Median Province. It's not quite purgatory. Technically, he's still alive, but this is just somewhat of a stage. So, and yes, it is formal verse, so if you feel yourself start to drift off, imagine me blowing an air horn at you. So. Fields of the Median Province. Opening his weary eyes to the great beyond, he adjusts to the current scene. Has he died? Barely able to lift his throbbing skull of flesh, he wipes off the flakes of maroon that caked his forehead's side. Reoriented as a snake-eyed pair of dice, Mars sees his headrest, the boulder of the unfair, left by a trail of scraped earth, as if the great Sisyphus was already there. No more painful memories left to endure for the sake of tolerance. Let the amnesiac's fantasy come to life and serenade us with an unknown Latin dance. He walks in midday light without priorities or cares, severing all ties by means of alienation. No other option to protect oneself, so why risk the betrayal of familial observations? This is my planet, my blue-green dome, the place that I once called home. I must be living through someone else's brain. They only see the fallen who have only brought great disdain. This is my planet, my green-blue sphere, and only my spirit knows I never want to leave here. Around the grained circle of the hills, he rolls around in the dust of onyx, such a memorable garden of gardenias. The scent of blind love and flames induces a deadly mix. But what? What is this I see? Every image of scenery from a negative photograph. Up until these screaming purges, I have not felt such an urge to compulsively laugh. Forever shall I wander through these altered fields, lowering my vulnerable walls and surrendering my shields. Above the ground where he stands, the skies shine a raucous neon green. A reflecting glow reverberates off of him, the new emerald man in a sanctuary of 13. In between the chuckling webs of his feet, royal violet is the grass that breathes. Every blade emits a high-pitched sigh of arousal, the nature nymphs who hide to tease. Attraction that bases itself off of scent greets him in a monochromatic red as a lustful sinner's cyclical blood. He knows not the courtship rituals of stem to hand, so he plucks himself instead to join the frozen others in a Cimmerian flood. I am distinctly reminded of the first bite of a watermelon summer ripe. The tingles I feel of the leaking juices leave me yearning for only one type. Dancing in fantasy, swaying from direction to side, he cannot help but feel glowing light on his feet. I distinctly recall the tidal wave rush of a first kiss and its cause. I welcome the eagerness of sharing that experience with the most imperfect match in all her delightful flaws. Dancing in fantasy, swaying from side to direction, he cannot help but moan out his gardenia's name. Mars the heavy weighs next to nothing, his fluttering beats send primeval lullabies to sing. I never want this feeling to cease, perpetually sending my every being to soul-quaking release. Is there an alternative more superior than this one? The heat is dropping for me to kiss the frozen sun. I shall dwell like a commoner in these fields until my sword of flesh deems itself no longer fit to wield.
Mm-hmm.